Meatly launches the first ever cultivated pet food. Small businesses champion vegan beauty. The Vatican's car fleet to go all electric. European consumers reduce meat consumption. And the sports world gets warmed up for the UN COP28 climate summit. All on this week's edition of Sustainable Life 5 in 5. My take on 5 highlights from the world of sustainable living, all in under 5 minutes. Hi everyone. Welcome to the next edition of Sustainable Life 5 in 5. I am Douglas Sabo, or at Green Living Doug, across the social media channels. Welcome to my weekly take on 5 highlights from the world of sustainable living. These are highlights that are curated from my blog, the Sustainable Life blog, at greenlivingdoug.com. This is lucky episode number 13 in the series, so if you haven't checked out, if you're newer to it, go ahead and go back in the archive and feel free to catch up and watch episodes 1 through 12. A good afternoon of watching. And if you do like this content, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Would love to spread the word and get more people to have a chance to check out this content, be part of this movement. And if you do have something that you want to give feedback on, please feel free in the comments, go ahead and share what your thoughts on highlights from sustainable living, reactions to what I share, or other things that you may have seen. So go ahead and do that. Before I get started and diving into the 3 quick items. First, happy Thanksgiving to those of you watching in the United States. It's been a couple days ago since it happened, so hope it was happy and sustainable in your homes and households. Second, in the spirit of practicing what I preach, 2 items. First, Taylor Stitch. You're getting another shout out, the sustainable menswear brand. This is your utility shirt, as you may recognize. Really enjoying trying out your products, and I look forward to trying out other brands in the sustainable menswear category. Second, back in the kitchen once again, sitting on the kitchen counter stools that we recently had repaired, reupholstered. The ones that we had have gotten a lot of use over the last 6-7 years. It was time to make a decision. Do we donate and get rid of in some way and get new? Or do we go through the repair process? Well, sustainable living, practice what you preach. Re-commerce includes the topic, one of the R's is repair. So we went ahead and had them upholstered. I'll give a quick look at what they look like in a moment here. So go ahead and see what you think, and until in the comments, that'd be a nice spot if you have had an experience with repairing instead of tossing out and getting something new. So I am back to celebrate, back in the chair, back in the kitchen to do that. And finally, we are only days away from the start of the United Nations COP28 climate summit in Dubai. Kicks off later this coming week. I mentioned that for a couple reasons. One, the Sustainable Life blog and this 5 in 5 video series may be disrupted while I am there for about a week. So please be patient with that. Also, in last week's episode, I mentioned that I might be previewing the sustainable living topic and how it's showing up at COP28. I believe in the opposite of what most people believe. I believe in over-promising and under-delivering. We'll see if I'm able to get to that before I take off for Dubai. I really do aspire to it, but I'll ask for forgiveness ahead of time if that doesn't happen. But I do look forward to recapping afterward. But then again, maybe there I go again. So we'll make sure we get to do that. Okay. Time for the highlights, what you're all here tuned in for. This week, the Sustainable Life blog covered 5 topics, as it often does. This week, it covered pets and pet care, beauty and personal care, mobility, specifically electric vehicles, food with a focus on plant-based, as well as sports and the outdoors. So the 5 highlights that I'm going to share with you are pulled from those 5 themes that the blog covered this week. As usual, let's go ahead and get the timer up and ready, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first, cultivated pet food. This is a story from the pet food processing website about the pet food company called Meatly, formerly known as Good Dog Food. And Meatly has just announced its upcoming launch of its cultivated pet food, a product launch in the UK. This is a company, Meatly's a company that's focused on ethical and sustainable proteins for pets. It's using cultivated meat specifically, both delivering the product with a sustainability mission, as well as not compromising on nutritional value. Its cultivated meat, if you're curious, uses samples of cells from a chicken egg in order to make its product. It's getting ready for launch. It has a new consumer-facing website and other partnerships about to launch to get the brand on retail shelves soon. So I mention this because we often talk about food, and we will later this episode, food, plant-based, but what about the footprint of pet food? And so this is a good example of innovation that's happening to address issues of land, water, antibiotics use. And I think it's important both for what we can do in the space of pet food and also what we can learn for human food. Okay, second topic. Small businesses in vegan beauty. So in the world of sustainable beauty, from the cosmetics business website, it had a focus on a couple small businesses that are contributing to vegan beauty. This was coinciding with November as World Vegan Month. They highlighted Loopeco, a small cosmetics brand with a strong commitment to waste reduction and to carbon neutrality. They highlighted Anara skincare, focusing on inclusive products with vegan, cruelty-free, and natural origin ingredients. And they also focused on Noughty, committed to using natural ingredients, vegan products as well. So we know that this theme of sustainable beauty and cosmetics is a regular one for the Sustainable Life blog. I like to cover the continued progress in this space, but also to talk about not just the packaging topic we've talked about, but ingredients and any chance to highlight small businesses. Some of them are doing some of the most innovative and disruptive work in sustainable living and sustainable commerce. So great to do that. Apologies in advance if I mispronounced any of the three brands that I just named. Third story, the Vatican goes electric. This was Reuters' coverage of an announcement of an agreement that was signed recently between the Vatican and the German automaker Volkswagen. They're going to replace the Vatican's entire car fleet with EVs by 2030. Now, when you think about the fleet, what does that include for the Vatican? It's vehicles to transport Vatican officials to events, it's maintenance, gardening, and delivery vehicles. No word about the Pope Mobile quite yet. Also, the Vatican has announced it's going to build a network of EV charging stations for its employees' private cars. This is part of the Vatican's long-term commitment to becoming carbon neutral and using 100% renewable energy. Why focus on it? Yes, it's certainly about the fleet itself, but it's probably a modest footprint, but it's really about the leadership of it all. This is leadership and visibility to the world's estimated 1.4 billion Catholics and others who will see this. The Vatican and Pope Francis specifically have really been outspoken on the topic of the urgency of climate action. The Pope Francis himself is anticipated to be participating at COP28 later this week with the faith community. Topic number 4. Europeans go flexitarian. This was plant-based news website coverage of a new study, a recent study of about 7,500 consumers from 10 countries in Europe. A couple of the key findings in the space of food and sustainable food. 51% are open to trying or are trying to eat less meat. That's up from only 46% 2 years ago. The top reasons: health, animal welfare, and environmental impact in that order. Why am I focusing on this? Well, certainly we talk regularly about the plant-forward diet and its measurable positive impact on climate and emissions and nature and biodiversity. Also, the topic of the role of the flexitarian. The vegan and vegetarians don't need as much focus on them, or the omnivores, but the flexitarians really have an opportunity for focus and to drive the space with a leading message, probably more so around health. Finally, sports at COP28, a trio of stories around Formula E showing up at COP28 with a delegation, including its McLaren and Envision racing teams. Sail GP is going to be there and hosting the Race for the Future takeovers at the Emirates Dubai Sail Grand Prix. And FIA is also going to be there with a whole dedicated day on Transport Day. So why am I focusing on this? Well, elite sport reaches an audience estimated at billions every week, and athletes can be among the most influential leaders on the planet on topics. And so it's great to see they're showing up to demonstrate, in their words, the huge power of sport for good to inspire action and change mindsets. 5 minutes on the dot. Those are 5 highlights. I know it's always a whirlwind each week. Please go ahead and check those out. Also use the comments if you have additional stories or you want to get feedback on these items. Really looking forward to the COP28 summit. Hopefully I do have a chance to either preview or review afterward, or maybe both. Some of the highlights around how sustainable living and the world of sustainable commerce shows up at the COP28 summit that's coming up. Runs actually 2 weeks, so we'll see what kind of highlights that we can provide. Again, really appreciate you tuning in to this blog. If you do like this and video channel, if you do like this content, go ahead and like and subscribe. Share feedback in the comments. I'm Douglas Savo, or @GreenLivingDoug across social media channels. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.